But yeah,
You're listening to Radio Bonita. Next up is Smurfo and Eric Ordaz. What up?
You are we? You want to do this right now? Like right now? Now? Start. Well, let's come. Yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah, yeah, come back here. What's going on?
Hello. Hello, Sam. How's it going?
I run the uncensored page. So be careful of the reverb. Oh, do you drive like boogers in my nose?
No, I'm just checking the mic level right here. Does it need to be that? Pizza sauce. Pizza. All right.
Do you want to introduce?
Yeah. All right. My name is Eric Ordaz. I'm here with Smurfo, Chris. Um, we met through DJing in the nightlife. Smurfo was an amazing graffiti artist, painter, draftsman. Um, he's joining us here at Xpizza with Uncensored and Radio Bonita, and I'm gonna pass it over to him so he can, talk a little more about himself.
what's up, everybody? Glad you guys are here. What should I? What am I? Should I give a little spiel about my life
Talk
or?
about yourself, man. Nobody knows you here, so say what's up. People are going to they want to hear about it.
Okay, so I'm born and raised in New York, 1989 of May. Born in Harlem, raised in Clinton Hill for about 15 years. Felt the first effects of gentrification that I could ever remember there. So raised our rent a whole bunch and had to move to Bed-Stuy. And I just recently moved to Greenpoint, out my family home, after about 16 years in Bed-Stuy. And I've been a working and living artist for the last 30 years or so, professionally for about 12, and I'll count that from like my first show that I ever sold artwork in within the circuit with like notable other artists. And I've been a DJ for about 10 years straight in the nightlife circuit. And what you're talking about with art and sometimes stepping outside of that box just because you don't want to work on this grid that you know is going to work. You can follow all those steps, and like you said, followers mean nothing. I've always been like very anti like what people are looking at for validation in terms of them being an artist. Like people see me and go 14,000 followers, and I'm like, dude, like there's 3,000 accounts. I have no idea who the fuck that is, and it's probably bots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like the numbers itself don't even really add up when you're looking at it. And I've always approached my art in a way where I could say, I did it my way. And if you fuck with that, then you're fucking with unmitigated, uncensored artwork. That I'm not looking to please anybody. If it pleases you, then you're in that percentage that really understand. And that's how a lot of artwork I feel like goes.
Yeah. Tell us more about your art. What kind of art that you do? I've seen it, and you touch on things politically, culturally. Parodies. You like to poke fun and stuff, and kind of like you have a way of going about it. But tell people here a little bit about your art.
So I got a lot of different avenues when it comes to art. So I'm a painter, expressionist, like contemporary, however you want to use like the art labels. But then I do a lot of illustration, and I guess what you would call political cartooning. I just like to. I'm a student of comedy, so I understand like when I watch certain people that other people call whatever. They're really just trying to convey something that people know exists but don't want to talk about in a funny way. That's basically the whole thing.
You also get you also there's a lot of I feel pushback too, right? Sometimes there's tons of pushback for a lot of the content that's on your grid, right?
Yeah, I'm curious to know what people say to you and how they approach, those topics and those things that you. I want to know what people have said and what kind of pushback maybe that you've gotten from people.
Well, that's great. That's funny. I'm thinking back about all of them, and I'm like thinking about the little discords I've had with people on Instagram where I'm like, yeah, I got like 20 minutes today. Like, let me just let me entertain this. Like, let's see if I can maybe even get somebody to say, I never thought of it that way. You know, you'll do it every once in a while. They say not to like argue with these people, but I'm like, maybe I can get to somebody. And a lot of times, that's maybe 1 out of 10 people. So, if I do like a piece, I did a piece on AOC and I put Goofy on her head.
Yeah, the goofy one.
Yeah, and a lot.
Tell them what it was.
Well, she wore that tax the eat the rich or tax the rich,
Something like that.
and then the media wasn't showing any pictures of her with a Bronfman on the red carpet, and I go, all right, like, let me fuck with that. And I said that was some goofy ass shit to do, like, and I said, oh fuck, I'm gonna put Goofy on her head, like that was, and then, I feel like the best work that I've done is just that simple conveying of like what that is in the moment. Yeah. Like to say that shit is goofy and they have a character named Goofy, I said I'm putting it on her body. Yeah. And then a lot of
That says it.
that says it easy, and a lot of AOC stands were just like just defending her, and I could hear the uncertainty in their whole argument when they were trying to defend this woman. You know what I mean? Like, didn't even sound like it was something they really believed in.
Uncertainty, but it would be uncertainty on the internet. It wouldn't be nobody approached you verbally. It was they don't do that, and that's like because I think a lot of better things would come from just like face to face rather than it being just like digital kind of crucifixion kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Or just I'm gonna give it to you, but also just like in the moment, like you didn't ask me what I meant or what exactly I'm trying to convey. You just like off the rip upset because somebody you like was portrayed in a certain way.
Well, I was gonna say, they won't come to you face to face because there's emotion and there's dialogue, and you really can squash a lot of bullshit when you sit down and talk to someone face to face and you see each other's humanity in one another. You know what I mean? It's easier to fire the trigger blindly from behind the screen. You don't have to look into their eyes. You don't have to convey your words with confidence or meaning or intention. You can just say some shit and just be like, la, and then like, you deal with it. What do you got now, fool?
You're from here. I'm from here. It's like growing up, like we grew up in different areas. You grew up in Harlem. I grew up in Brooklyn. But like, you said something to somebody's face and they didn't like it. They smack you.
Yeah, I mean, even if you didn't smack them, like I have a story, right? And this is how life goes. I have a story. I was in high school, first day of high school. This is a great story. I used to customize clothing because Mesquite was like a very big thing back in the day, like all over. It was about like custom clothing for a bit, coming from the 80s hip hop era, kind of dwindling in the 90s, and then coming back in the 2000s, like having airbrush sneakers. You remember this shit, airbrush t-shirts, paint splattered on everything.
In the mall, they would do it too. Like they do
Yeah. It was like a weird like Pollock moment where like just splatter came back. So I was airbrushing my sneakers, just like trying things out. Didn't know the science behind it. Didn't do the Google or anything like that. And I'm walking by these upperclassmen, and they're like just all there like chilling. And I walk by this group of kids with my boy Eric, and his name was Eric. And one of the guys goes, "Yo, did you paint those sneakers?" And like immediately, like I got like super excited. I was like, "Yo, this is gonna be my first compliment ever on these shoes." And he goes, "Yo, homie, don't ever do that shit again. Those shits are fucking garbage." And I go, "Fuck, oh shit." And then my boy next to me is like, "Oof, like my bad, man." But you know what I did? I went home and I was like, "Fuck, these shits are fucking terrible. Like they're cracking. They don't look good. Like as an artist, like I was rushing to wear them, and like I didn't do the research." And I was like, I was happy for that little bit of discord in that moment because it was just so real. And at the end, I appreciated it. And how it goes full circle is like a couple months later, I got better at what I was doing. So I'm again at one of my homies' houses because he's friend with one of my homies' older brothers. And he goes, "See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, now you getting it." I like discord. Civil discord is what people need to do. Even if somebody they wrong about something right then and there in the moment. Like people should be doing that. You know.
So I also, I know that you've been very, open about certain things on the internet that we've seen and we've discussed in person. We were talking earlier about, conflating of consensus and things like that. What kind of, I was talking to Lydia here earlier about what we went through here in New York. During and after quarantine, and us, you and myself, working in nightlife and DJing and that being a part of the culture in the community, the kind of pushback that as the narrative has changed, day by day. At first, it was very much one-sided, and we were definitely on the other side, skeptical about things, of course, and wanting to see more research done on things, and we were waiting it out to see what's up, but it seemed very lopsided and silly, as we both know. And as things have changed, and again, you are very vocal about your point, what kind of pushback do you get from people now, even when you do show them these things, when you do show them maybe clips or maybe a post or something, as the narrative's been changing? Like what kind of pushback are people? I mean, people get really mad. Are they threatening you? Like what kind of stuff's coming your way?
Nobody's saying anything.
Oh, really?
They're very silent right now. Nobody's saying anything.
About what? We're talking about mandates and vaccines.
Yeah,
Oh gosh.
that whole thing we had to go through. That, like I also said in 2021, in like a year or two, everybody's gonna forget that shit. Fucking happened.
Well, there's always going to be a shift.
Yeah.
There's always going to be something new for somebody.
Originally, though, it was so like you couldn't question anything or say anything against it. I mean, we saw the silliness of it. You get a free cheeseburger if you do this. You get some French fries, maybe a gift card. You got to get an incentive, maybe a T-shirt.
Why not? You get a massage. You get a massage.
Why not something healthy like a kale salad? Maybe like a free like little pint of honey or something. I don't know, like some elderberry, just a cheeseburger and fries. I don't know.
The Halloween mask.
I don't know, dude.
No, we saw kind of this silliness happening, and it was affecting a lot of people in our community that didn't agree with it. And we know people, we have our ways to navigate these things. It was pretty loose and honestly kind of silly at the end of the day. Like, I don't think people really cared too much, as we could tell. You and I obviously knew that. It was more of like, it was this theatrical, like, play along, imaginary. Like, hey, okay, like, show me your card in any form that you have it. It could have been a Pokemon card. It could have been stapled to, a paper bag. Like, no, there was nothing really official about anything. It seemed really loose and silly, and everybody was, again, you and I being in nightlife had to deal with the scrutiny of, like, obviously places become barred to you, and you're not allowed to enter. You can't eat here. You can't come here. You can't dance here. You can't perform here. What do you think about that? Obviously,
I mean, so like I said before, nobody since all this new information that's come out has said anything, and that's why I still post about it, because I can tell that if 20 people used to get upset about this shit, and then now nobody gets upset because they're either obviously going through some self-realization and want to do that, or maybe they know that they can't triple and quadruple down, so that your best option is to be quiet by now. Like you said, the first time I went to a bar and they were like, nah, and they did it all. Oh, yeah, no, sorry, like you can't come in with that. I said, damn, man, this has really got people like rejecting people because of like some kind of something that you can forge really easily. This is a choice to do, and I just realized how many people are willing to like do whatever the system says if it's just blindly for their own interest.
Also, I mean, I think that, like, you put this stuff kind of in your content as well. Kind of, if you want to put more of a positive spin on it, because your work is on the internet, it's on Instagram for people to see. You also have the other side of things, which is like you have a kid or somebody looking at your work being like, well, I kind of relate to this. I want to do this. You know what I mean? So you're also inspiring people who kind of feel outcasted already. That are like, because there's a lot of people who are scared to put out what they want, what they want to say, what they want to draw, what they want to put on a piece of paper. Instead of it being, because the background noise are the people who are just going to come after you and just be like, well, I don't like this, and and it, at some point, you just have to kind of ignore that and just go more towards, I feel, the the positive kind of like, because there's people that I didn't know that I was I'm inspired by, people who push their own narrative and don't really let the background noise kind of bother them, because it's an echo chamber for a lot of those people.
I wanted to remind people too that Smurfo's art goes beyond the internet. He is extremely active in the real world. You will see his tags, his graffiti, and his paintings out in public. I'm sure you have seen his stuff before. He's not confined by Instagram or the internet. He is very active out there.
No. Yeah, and with my art and the graffiti, like I want to convey messages that should be heard to the people. I want to like promote self-reflection and, rather than like doubling or tripling down, like maybe give yourself some space to like look at yourself and realize that you might be doing the wrong thing and, to say sorry, I fucked up or I was fucked up and then make a change to make yourself better is probably the better option. And like in society today in general, everything's kind of about like, if I was a hypocrite, that's cool because that's just who I am and that's my personality and you should accept me for who I am because I'm an asshole. Like it's not okay. There's a lot of lack of accountability with a lot of stuff. You can see it when something fucked up is happening, people will take their camera out, This used to be everybody was like, yo, what happened? Let's help. Even in fucked up New York. Say what you want, but New York right now, like it's weird. It's very disconnected.
Everything's become obviously content and a spectacle. There's that disconnect now. It's like what can you capture to then give to others to consume? That's the focus more or less.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I think society's been at that place, back in the day where probably somebody got their throat cut and people probably were like, yo, whoa, oh shit. All right, yo, listen. He can't call an ambulance. Back in the Middle Ages, I'm pretty sure people getting fucked up. You just had to sit there and be like, oh shit, and just keep it the fuck moving, I think the difference is for a while we did progress as a society where people wanted to help each other and like, I don't know, want to raise their families and shit, like, kind of want to put their work in the world. And now it's crazy what it's become. And then a lot of people say it's not a big deal, but I don't know. I don't see it going like in good places right now. And it's just because, like you said, people will DM me like, hey, yo, thanks for saying that. And I'm like, dude, say it out loud with me. Like, say it with me,
I think there's just a lot of fear based in, on the internet, outside the internet. People are afraid to actually put, like, you're somebody who puts the narrative you think is, it might not be right to somebody else in a piece of art, and people like bite back either in a positive way or a negative way. But I think that's important. It has to keep happening. You know what I mean? Even if there's torches and people coming after you or me or Eric or anybody, I think that's.
I just wanted to say back to what you were saying about back then and like people raising their families. There was this emphasis that the world was never going to end. Like it was like you had to have your children so that they had children and carry on your name and the legacy. And now we're just at a point where it's just like there is no future. Like it feels like there's just death. So.
Yeah, well, this is a culture that like, and people and. Man, I love America, or else I would have fucking moved already. But I'm not gonna talk shit about it. But yeah, there's a death culture being promoted. Like I don't think any other place in the world has TV shows where people watch about like murder and like how to do it and that shit would give me a lot of anxiety. Like I'm like, why do you want to see like the story of this fucked up guy killed all these people and like give him light? And there's no stories about people who did good for the world. They don't get no light, dude. Like, it's weird.
Sam and I have discussed like media and the use of, fear and outrage and stuff like that, like when it comes to the system, what will make money and what will take attention away and distract you and get you involved and get you clicking, get you scrolling, get you involved in the infinite feed, it will always fall back on fearful things, worrisome things, terrible things. It's so much better because it's like the machine understands, the algorithm in the machine understands that like the best way to keep you logged in and seeing the ads that you're blowing past, but you're still catching glimpses of this stuff. It's still entering your mind. They know that these are the tools to keep you hooked in, to keep you. It's like you're fear scrolling, fear swiping, whatever the hell it is. It's not positive things. It's like the boogeyman, the boogie. I was saying the boogie left or the boogie right. It's whoever they are, the faceless, demonized people out there that are gonna hurt you or taking away your utopia of the future, or they're your competition. It's all kind of wrapped in that. And then there's obviously this the conflation of the consensus, as you said, through media and through numbers, and the way that's being used against people for pushing some narrative where everyone is supposed to blindly kind of just raise their hand and be like, I'm with it, or else you are public, you're shamed in the internet village around the world. You're shamed.
Yeah, I mean that's it. That goes back to like the black squares. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. I just think you just have to not fucking care. Just don't fucking care and just do what you want to do. And if people are going to get upset anyway, you know what I mean? There's not really any, there's no. What happened?
I just see them as like children. Like I'm just like, okay, like, like like a baby or a child would just like, not think something all the way through. They just react because they're children. They don't have their emotions in check. They haven't gotten there yet. So I just look at everybody as children, and we all know fucking children, adults out here in a lot of capacities. I don't even think I don't think paying your rent makes you automatically a responsible person. They're like fucked up people out here, and just because they can operate in society doesn't mean they have like childlike thing about them. You know what I mean? A lot of people grow up a lot of different ways that aren't super beneficial for them. And I think right now, I don't think everybody's on that kind of mode, but I think the power of media and like the internet has shifted people into being in that mode, where if you were just lacking in some kind of thing, like that shit can manifest in you. You know what I mean? Like these people, like you said, like I've had like Discord with people and then like been like, we should talk in person. They're always just like, no, I'd rather not. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I mean, it's no, I mean, but that's like, that's the internet wall, you know what I mean? They feel everybody is comfortable behind a fucking screen. We all know that, to actually meet a living, breathing human being who has an opinion that's not your opinion is scary to say, but it's kind of impossible now, even most people who came after me, like they don't want to talk to me in person, Civil discord. It doesn't. It's there's where. What's the solution? You know what I mean?
I was gonna say one of the reasons why people don't want to have civil discord is because they have nothing to back up their emotion. That's the whole thing. Like when you actually talk to these people and they just regurgitate something they read on CNN, like not damn near not like a paragraph past the headline. Like that's why nobody wants to say anything. You can't really have civil discord and argument without really believing the side that you're on. And when somebody can have a counter opinion and fact that battles your one opinion, like it's not gonna feel good. You're not gonna want to talk about it.
That's like agreeing to disagree. Most people can't do it now. As simple as it is, a lot of people can't do it. Exactly, and it's scary. I've had conversations through Uncensored, or Sam and I have had conversations with different musicians or artists that are just like stern about, okay, but I can agree to disagree with whatever opinion you have. And no, you know what I mean, and it's just like finger pointing. There's no like, okay, we could still play this show. We could still have this gallery show together. Just because you have a different opinion than mine about whatever it might be, politically or not politically, like But that's not how a lot of these people are, unfortunately. It's most of the time like, no, I'm not going to have this show with you, or we're not going to do this together, or we're not going to play in this band. From my experience with this stuff, which is, Sam and I were talking about, well, what's the solution? Like if we don't agree, then like, what's the next step?
I think that it's easier for people to, to place their cause in something and blame and place it outside of themselves. To actually have resolution and solution would eliminate their cause. You know what I mean? It's easier to keep that and hold on to it and not resolve it, because once they get past it and it's no longer a bad thing, then they might not have much fulfillment, or now they're like, now what? If that's squashed, now what is there?
Yeah, a lot of people are treating politics and that shit as their religion. So yeah, they wouldn't have much.
Now what?
Yeah, because it's like, now what? You this is the thing that you're fighting for. Like, this is the shit that you picked. And like I said, I'm not gonna fault everybody, because that media is a hell of a drug, dude. When you don't got nothing else going on, you know what I mean? It literally can infect you. That fear, it can affect you. Now you're diehard. You're diehard this person that you weren't 3 years ago. It's a crazy thing.
I just want to read something that Ari sent me. Shout out Brujas. So she sent me a text saying the post-industrial social condition encourages people to make value out of approving of individuals because they are removed from the reality of community, codependence, and instead use individualization and bullying to project their own fear of removal that comes from their own labor nihilism.
I think that, we can all talk that we do things that I think we enjoy and we love, that make us happy, and we, in a way, bring joy or inspiration to others. And I think, obviously, if you look at the status quo of the general public, there's a lot of people out there doing shit that they don't really want to do. And it's easier to just kind of bask in the negativity as to why they're unfulfilled or unhappy. And if that goes away, if the root of the cause of why they're suffering or why they're unhappy, if that can be solved, there still wasn't solved. Maybe like the job that they're doing, the work that they're doing daily, or the life that they're just not really enjoying. It's mundane. It's uninspired. It's repressive. They're not getting to express themselves and feel that the love and the joy or the happiness that they want. But it's easier to place it on said people or someone else, or it's you're the problem, or this group, or this whatever it is. It's external, so it's easier to just to live with yourself when that's like you can look at that and be like, that's the reason. That's the reason.
And a solution for a lot of that would be like, well, how do we help you? You know what I mean? Like, how do we? Okay, like we don't have to agree, but I could help you. Maybe there's something that I know that you don't know that I could help you with. You know what I mean? Whether it's a problem, and it unfortunately, like, we're not at that point socially, culturally, especially in New York. It's like,
We've heard the word gatekeeping more like this last year or two that I've heard in my whole life. I'm like,
I was gonna say that, like, most of all, as much as we want change is still like a scary thing. It's scary for people. There's fear involved in the unknowing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess they don't really like the system itself doesn't really express for kids to be creative. Like, this shit started years ago when they started taking money out of schools from the art programs. The first thing they hit was art programs. And, I guess that's what you would want to do if you want to have control of people. You want to do the most you can to not have them be creative. The more creative people you have on this earth, a lot of things change because your mind is just more open in general. You know what I mean? You can, that knowledge of wanting to do something and make stuff doesn't exist within the mass population. And I think they'd have to do that to keep most people, under this umbrella of their control. And then the people that do want to be creative, now it's very minimal. Now there's all this competition and all these other different politics. Now people can gatekeep and
it's sensitivity too. There's a lot of in the education system too, from like any little research that I've done, or through my cousin too. Like, there's a lot of my cousin, Jesus. Shout out to Alessio. He's going through some stuff right now, but just the education system being extremely kind of sensitive to content that is not necessarily pushing a narrative that like that school wants to push, and then this person gets, I hate saying canceled, but doxxed or like shunned in school. And it's happening because through my cousin who's just got out of high school, so many kids in his school in New York just would get attacked, for drawing a picture or painting something that wasn't of the narrative of somebody else in that school, which is really terrifying.
I mean, if that shit's hitting the high schools, man, that's gonna immediately be a no go for like junior high and shit. I mean, that's just mad disheartening, man. Because if from the jump of your life you learn that you can't draw certain shit around certain people, that's a whole other thing. And teachers,
Principals being like, because they're kind of all getting fed by this media, this like, this is offensive, this is not offensive, this is offensive. So therefore they're like, okay, well, you can't do this in this school, you can't draw this, you can't, whatever it might be, that they consider offensive. And these people are being like, kids are not talking to them, they're being written about on the internet. And, and from my experience, like, the internet is, it goes into a database when you try and get something taken down or get something, removed. It just goes into a box, and it sits there. Nothing happens. The post or the page or whatever it is will just come back up. Even from a cybersecurity consultant I've spoken to about this, it literally just sits there, and Mark Zuckerberg makes money.
from like a user account, like still being in place. I don't know the shit I see, and I get like proposition from like I don't know if these are hookers or like hooker bots. Like I don't know what they are, but they're like in my DMs every day. And I block them, and like the same account just comes with like one different like digit, and like with the same pictures, and I'm like, why is this happening to me? What is that?
I'm not on Instagram anymore. I got off of that shit. I just couldn't deal with how good everybody was on there, because there's so many great people just, posting so many good fucking things, the food I ate today, or like, what about the ass, or the fucking, oh, I gave money to this community. It's like, yeah, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, that's great. You're such a great person because you gave all this money to this community. It's like, dude, you don't have to post this. What is that? Virtue signaling. There you go.
My favorite one is a guy, and he goes to like the Hooters waitress or something. Like they're in Hooters, and he's like, yo, you see all this money on the table? Yo, I'm gonna hold up my hands like to it. I'm like, he's like, yo, if you pick the hand with no money, then you get all this money. And if you pick the hand with the money in it, then you get the money in the hand. And she picks the hand with the money in it. So he's like, damn, girl, you could have had all this money. And then he's like, God bless you. When she walks away. Dude, like giving money to people and recording it, like homeless people, like recording their tears close up is crazy to me, bro. What?
We're is it how do you feel like how is it like is do you experience discomfort? Do you experience discomfort seeing this stuff? How does this emotion make you feel watching, like seeing, because we all see this stuff, and we live where it's like, it's presentation culture. We know it's like it's one big lie. It's all curated, and it's like
I feel bad for the people doing this shit. They don't realize how fucking dumb and stupid and detrimental that is. Like,
It's also extremely just egomaniacally fucking insane vanity that.
So wait, you feel bad for the people that are taking the videos or the homeless people that are being exploited?
both of them.
Okay, got you.
Because if you're homeless and you're getting exploited like that, shit, the homeless dude probably don't have Instagram, probably doesn't use the internet. He's still gonna get some money, and it's weird that anybody would want to do that, but at least they get off with something. The person who does that to regular people, free-thinking people, they just look stupid. They look gross. the young guys going up to girls and like trying to get their number with these icky pickup lines. I'm like, dude, that's never gonna work in real life. Like, this is scripted. You're gonna have young dudes all over the place fucking bothering women when they're just trying to read, thinking that like that's what dudes are supposed to do. Like, no.
And also, how do we actually know if they get the money? You know, like that might just be like the whole all these videos might just be a facade. You know what I mean? For just like, I tend to not believe pretty much anything that I see anymore, especially on like those quick videos that I used to see of homeless kind of junkies that would be getting like, you're talking about the ones that are like guys coming up to them with like $100 bills and like snacks, right? That are like sleeping in sleeping bags like on the side of a highway, correct? Is that
Just like, running up on anybody that's like, not doing well, like that's why a lot of that shit happens in the West.
It's great that that's happening, but you don't have to film it.
You don't have to film it, dude. Yeah, but shout out to everybody who does that and is not filming it, because I know those people exist too. I wish they would do stories on those people. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's hard to know the intention. It's hard to know the intention, you know what I mean? When cameras are trained on everybody like a gun, you know what I mean? Like for exploitation, for consumption, like the camera is trained on you at all times. It affects how you act, how you talk. It's changing our authenticity and genuinely expression and just real shit that we do, like we're doing now here in a physical space with each other. We're talking about the internet, what goes on in the DMs and the cringy shit, and then like this is the real stuff that happens between us here in our city, coming together to create something. But it's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, it's very weird. Like we talk about like virtual signaling, even using the word community. I haven't heard that word in a fucking. It's like the more I hear that word, the less it means or some shit, dude. Like, it's weird, you know what I mean? Everybody's like community, 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 and they are literally like lacking of community. They don't want to be part of anything that's very real. The only time they want to be part of the community is when it's like the mob. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like, they say community, but like the meaning is changed. Like, do they really know these people? Do they have a relationship with these people? Are they close to them? Do they have like a deeper bond than just being like another digit, another number on this quote unquote community?
Yeah, but that goes into, it's very hard to like have true community unless you really see yourself as a sovereign person, like your own person. You know what I mean? Like, that's a real thing. To have like a legit community like what they were doing in the 60s, like making these farms and communes and really trying to be about it. Like, they were really going for it, you know what I mean? And they shut that shit down. That's it. They shut that shit down.
That's not profitable. They can't have that.
Growing your own fruits and vegetables? Oh shit. Can't have that now. So, and those are people who saw like a greater good and they were themselves and said, I want to be part of something great. And that thing only happens when everybody sees themselves as potential, pulling their own weight.
Sure. And also a lot of those communities, especially like in the 60s, like a lot of the radical groups, like I said before, were about solution. What is the fucking solution for the problem? And now it's no solution. It's I'm right, you're wrong, and there's no discord. And I feel like that's something that Sam and I kind of grapple with Uncensored, with a lot of people that we've communicated with in the past. It's like they don't want to hear solution, and that's something that did exist, I feel, in the 60s with the closest. Yeah. Did you want to say something?
I mean, I was just gonna say that the pressure was on then. There's no pressure now. People riot and scream now when they're told to in this country. Like, they have to be prompted. You see everywhere around the world, France and like all these other countries, like they have riots when they do not like some shit. They turn up. They start breaking stuff. Greece, Brazil, they're going ape shit out there because they're trying to make a point. And sometimes that's the only time this shit can get done. Every time we're trying to make a point, we literally have to been sold the point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, having Heineken, Pabst Blue Ribbon. No, I'm quoting I'm quoting Blue Velvet. Um, what were we talking about? My brain is fried. We were talking about solutions. So yeah, I mean, a lot of what we're talking about is like just like internet culture and people not really necessarily wanting to have any sort of dialogue outside of the internet, which I think is a big problem. And that's kind of why we also somewhat started Uncensored, was because, you know, we were kind of just tired of trying to communicate with people who didn't agree with us on the internet in like comment sections. And we wanted to be like, well, here, you know, we have a platform now. You can come here and talk with us. You know, obviously, none of those people have showed up because, unfortunately, they rather hide and harass behind a screen. But the door is always open, and that's we feel is a solution, right? I mean,
Yeah, I feel like a solution is just continuing to educate one another and come together and spend time and have these conversations, but also not even like really engage on the internet and just do things in real life and keep building the community and supporting one another, which seems like really easy now that I say it. So I don't know.
Bringing it back to, you know, community and music, DJing and stuff, you know, something that, again, how we met and we both operate. We've had a lot of fun together. Talking about, you know, what that brings, what you see, why you love it. You know, I like to think that, like, you know, we see the joy in people coming out and like interacting and dancing and getting to know each other. You know, the love that's in the room and the joy that's there. You know, maybe you can talk a little about that, and then maybe we'll have you spin some music for us too.
Yeah, I definitely would love to spin some deep house classics. Definitely open your mind stuff. But all right. So I'll say just this for like a couple minutes. Background, like me and Eric met at a venue called Pony Boy in the city. That was, you know, let's just say allegedly for like allegedly for the allegedly sake, you know, we were DJing at this venue that was just not giving up the spirit of having freedom to get down and get busy. You know, it became like an after hours discotheque allegedly, and we were having a ball. And you know, there were some people out there that were like, "This is a very irresponsible thing to do. This is, you guys are gonna get people sick and kill them." And I said, "Damn, we haven't had one fatality in a year of DJing through the pandemic. Like nobody's hurt, nobody got sick, nobody died, and I know people did, and I know a lot of things did transpire, but the things that people were saying, how irresponsible it was, and yet everything was fine, and everybody who was coming was very happy. And they came on their own accord, and they wanted to be there, you know. And I feel like music is like that thing that like it runs it all. You know what I mean? Like you'll definitely be able to see who's who in society if you say, hey, you can't go out and listen to music and dance. Watch who stays and watch who says, fuck that. If there's a spot to go, I'm going.
yeah, it's like Maoist China. You know, it's like, no, you can't do that. No, this person can't think for themselves. Let me think for them. They're not allowed to go to that bar. I mean, that's completely irrational and insane to me. And I don't know, those people are just should just, you know, stay away.
When it comes to DJing, is there a message? Is there something you want to say to everybody about it for you, and what you do with it, and what you hope to keep bringing with it?
Okay, so the only thing I want to do with my music is exactly what the DJs before me have done to me, which is make me feel something, make me understand like how this music even exists. Like a lot of dance music, if not all of it, has always come from like a time of like pressure, you know, 60s, 70s disco, 80s. The 80s was so much pressure, it literally made like funk and hip hop and house music and electronic. Like it really like exploded, you know. And Like we were talking about nostalgia. This is why this music is coming back so strong, and this is why everybody loves it again. They're like falling in love with it again because nothing has been that good since. You know what I mean?
You know, I feel like we're trying to inspire people to get groovy again and rhythmic with each other. I see a lot of stiff bodies out on the floor, you know, and you know, we're trying to get them to loosen up and to have fun, and hopefully they can dance together again, I think.
Yeah, for me, music has always been the thing that can bring everybody together. Like, you know, if you put the right music on, you have a person from 100 different countries in the room, and they'll all move. You know, when that shit's good, it's good. It's universal. Like, people will understand it, and they can bond over that. And I feel like, you know, in the 90s, the last days, like to the early 2000s, like, it was a bonding experience to go see your favorite DJ, like your favorite performer. Like, to be there in that crowd and say, I was there and I danced to so-and-so. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I want to bring that back. You know, so I play music that's specifically made to make people feel good. And that's the only objective, is to feel it and feel good. And, you know, you can walk away from that happy and say, like, that was great. Like, I feel great after that. Like, I can do what I need to do after that.
Real quick, for the people out there, how can they find your art and your work? You want to plug that?
Yeah, at Smurfo You Dirty. The website will be up and running probably first or second week of February. Instagram is just SMURFO. It'll say the Steady Handed Hooligan. And there's a couple fun pages on there. So you can see a lot of my black and white work, my canvas work, my murals, my street art, my illustrations and cartooning, comics. Everything's there.
All right. Be sure to, if you follow him on there and you check him out, you can stay up to date with the gigs that are coming up. You can come dance with us, come party. Yeah, you've been listening to Radio Bonita here at Xpizza. This has been with Uncensored New York. I'm Eric Rodaz. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Johnny. Smurfo is going to play us out, and yeah, enjoy.
I always got it on my mind. Sweet music, oh, always on my mind, baby. Hey, hey, music on my mind, yeah. Always on my mind, babe. Music's on my mind all the time. Think of love, baby. Music always on my mind. Hey, always on my mind. Cause it's it. I love music. I love music. I love music. Sweet, sweet music. I love music. I love music. I love music. Sweet, sweet music. Oh, baby. Oh, yeah. I've got my music on my mind all the time, yeah. Oh, every day. Music on my mind all the time. Music on my mind, 'cause I love music. I love music. I love music. I love music in the key of life. We all make mine. Oh, yeah, yeah. In the key of life, we all make joyful sound to the rhythm of love. When you're coming down, so take the motion to the floor, and you want more and more of that music, sweet, sweet music, yeah, the music. I love music. lover to hold me close and keep me new. I'm all alone. I'm on my own in New York City. What a pity, New York City. Running around through Central Park, being baffled by confusion. I won't find true love in the trail. This is Andy Newton. I'm just a boy, a lonely boy in New York. Something in my life is missing, and it has to do with kissing. Laying on of hands, feelings felt by men. I tell you, I need a lover for myself. I tell you, I need a lover for myself. Oh well, running around and through the village, looking in and out of trouble. Universal, you work with me. I need a lover on the double. This is not what I expected. Hope the search will soon be over. Promiscuity is painful, such emotional hangover. In my life is missing, yeah, and it has to do with kissing. Oh well. In the head, each and every day. I tell you, I need a lover for myself. I tell you, something in my life is missing, and it has to do with kissing. I tell you, I need a
way down to the underground. I said the underground, where your body begins to tremble and your hands become just a little nimble. The underground. Now let me see you work. Let me take you on a trip where the party children are waiting and there's no contemplating at the underground. Where your feet can take to flight and the DJ makes it right. Ah, the underground, baby. On the underground. And dance. And dance. And dance. And dance. If you can hang till daybreak, you know you're coming home late. If you can hang till daybreak, you know you're coming home late.